Thank you, Chairman. Ambassador Tai, it's good to have you before the committee. I'm going to continue to pull on the thread that Senators Carper and Wyden have as they've emphasized the importance of digital trade to our country, to our national security, to our people. I think not everyone associates the state of Indiana and the industrial Midwest with digital trade and the importance of digital trade, but they should. This is a potential opportunity for countless Hoosiers to lower costs, especially something top of mind at a time of inflation concerns. This creates new opportunities for consumers and workers alike. There's an opportunity for us to advance our global competitiveness. Increasingly, service industries and IT-related industries are an important part of Indiana's economy and much of the rest of the country's economy. So I happen to believe, and I think our committee has demonstrated on a broadly bipartisan basis, that digital trade is increasingly important to our country. At this moment in history, however, our government has not acted as though it's as important as this committee seems to believe. So under your leadership, USTR is diminishing our role in defending open digital trade rules, to put it pointedly. Can you elaborate, Ambassador, on whether there was consultation with the International Trade Commission, the White House Council on Economic Advisors, the National Economic Council, or other national security agencies before deciding to scale back our advocacy for open digital trade rules?
Senator Young, good to see you. I agree with you that digital touches all of us and is critical to all of our lives. And that's why it is so important to connect the conversation that we've been having in digital trade with everything else. Yes, there is a lot of consultation that happens in this administration. We consult with each other all the time. And with respect to these provisions on digital trade, which are of such importance and focus of this committee relating to data flows, data localization, storage, and source code, yes, robust interagency conversations began or really heightened in the early parts of last year.
So what was the rationale provided by these national security bodies since they were consulted? Were they supportive of this decision to scale back U.S. advocacy for open digital trade rules?
So I'm going to quibble with you on your characterization of what we did, because I certainly don't see it as scaling back. I see it as upgrading and advancing our conversation about what digital trade means. When we talk about digital trade, it's really an extension of talking about e-commerce, which is how we thought about these issues 20 years ago. The world is vastly different. The level of sophistication in the world of technology and frankly in the public policy debate is completely different now. If you look at the provisions that are in question relating to data flows and data localization, let's just start right there. They're really, they're good signaling. They're good signaling language around free flows of data and prohibitions on data localization. The challenge is that, it's kind of defining where the companies and the private sector can have free reign, and it really cabins governmental action, regulatory action into the confines of some exceptions. One of the serious concerns we have, and at USTR, it's because we're trade negotiators, we're also the trade litigators. We bring cases, we also have to defend. That those exceptions make us extremely nervous, given the kinds of debate up here, which are asserting the interests of Americans into this framework, which is not reflected in the proposals.
And I give you plenty of time to reframe this conversation. You're a negotiator, in part. So what success can you point to that you have had in persuading your counterparties to adopt rules and to accept those rules in strengthening our digital trade ties, and thus giving influence to the United States of America in this digital economy of the present, but especially of the future?
Well, an important part of negotiations is also talking and listening. And in our negotiations with the Europeans through the Trade and Technology Council, certainly with the Japanese and the bilateral and other formations that we have, including in the Indo-Pacific and those partners, what we see is that all of our friends and allies are all in the process of struggling with the same types of questions we are having today around privacy, around where you set the limits for who can do what with people's data. And so the progress that we are making is in advancing towards more updated proposals. And you're right, our proposals might not be the same as the Europeans, but we're all facing the same challenges.
So we don't have, I think it's fair to say, I'll close here knowing that my time has already expired. We don't have any outcomes yet. I understand that can be the case. Talking and listening has been the outcome. I know that sometimes I would regard that as part of the process before you get an outcome. We're almost at the end of the administration. You've been years in office, and I would hope that we would have had an outcome. It's not always realistic. I think that's a fair way to end it.